All right, we're back. It's us at the Nut Bar, and we have got another season to wrap up for y'all. So winter came, winter went. You know, there was some TV anime. There was actually a lot of TV anime. Not very many of them were good, but a lot of them were at least interesting, and that is enough to have a podcast about. So
we may or may not have binged a lot of it within the past week, but that's neither here nor there.
You don't have to tell any of them any of our habits, because all that matters is that we're good. So yeah, we're going to be spending this episode going over our takes on the winter anime that we watched. Just kind of giving you our recommendations, what we thought, what we didn't like, what we liked. And we're probably just going to kind of get into it at this point as well. No introductions needed. So I think what we're going to start with is... so Tim watches a lot more anime than the rest of us.
He watches every single show,
almost
minus
everything.
Like a couple drops.
So he is going to give us the status on a bunch of shows that I believe are getting second cours later this year that he didn't feel concluded strongly enough to get a strong take. So this is a sort of midway check-in on a couple of these shows. And for the record, me, Juan, and Logan are not watching any of these. So take it away, Tim.
No. Mm-hmm. Did you guys drop Hikari? Oh, you did drop Hikari. Okay.
We can talk about that a little bit if you want. But yeah, Hikari no O was one of the bigger disappointments of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
At least from what we watched of it. Episode 1 was really interesting. I liked the visuals, and it just stopped. It ceased to be a functional television anime after a certain point. And the plot was also, I would say, bordering on incomprehensible and not very well told. Like, there's being vague and being like dense on purpose, and then there is just poorly plotted, and I think that it was more in the second camp. So, alas.
That's gonna be interesting. But yeah, so there are 5 shows that are getting a second season literally next season in July. These are all shows that were like or planned to have the second season because they had the episode count laid ahead. The only one that didn't, I think, was Hikari no O, but I'm pretty sure that was always getting a 2-core thing. But yeah, so to go through the 5 that we are skipping over this time, it's going to be Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, Bungo Stray Dog 4th season, Hikari no O, Mononogatari, and Spy Classroom. I have a little quick few second snippets for each of them, but most of them. And then we can talk a little bit more about Hikari no O. Starting off with the Spy Classroom show. We'll go down the list. Spy Classroom was dumb. It was a very dumb show, but it was a fun dumb. I would recommend it for a group watch or drinking game, but not
one of those shows.
It's one of those shows. It's dumb, but you can make it a really entertaining watch if you want to. Mononogatari, that might be too many no's. Really inconsistent with the animation. Sometimes it really popped off with really good directions and animation. Other times it really struggled at times. Nothing super offensive though. Nothing like Hikari no O, which Chris and them had problems with. There was actually some really good character moments and stories, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to the second half of this one.
Yeah, I heard this manga was decent, so I guess if you're into this kind of shonen fantasy type show, then run it.
It took a couple of episodes in the first season to pick up, but once it did, it was pretty good. Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, all I would say is there's a character named Jonas, and he is a contender for Worst Boy of the Year.
Awesome.
Is he the main boy?
No. He's a side character who just shows up.
Oh, he doesn't even make the top 10 on Mal, so no one gets to know what Jonas.
Because no one likes him.
Yeah.
I think Mal does it by favorites.
Yeah.
So
he's down on the list. All right, got it.
And then Hikari no O, I will say it did have some questionable animation stuff, but Chris just talked about how he had problems with the politics and the world building in the show, but I think the show did it phenomenally better and more interesting than Revengers and ours, which are 2 other shows that Chris had interest in and the rest of them had interest in, but I don't think they dropped them. So maybe they weren't that bad. But yeah, those are it for the withholding
Bungo Stray Dogs?
mid-season stuff.
So,
and Bungo. I don't have much to say Bungo. It literally stopped in the middle of the arc.
yeah, it's mid-arc.
All right, that's fine.
So, seriously, do you think there is merit in going back and returning to Hikaru no O for me and Logan?
I couldn't say for now.
Okay, so it's more of a check
without seeing the second half. I will say I do stand by that. I think they do handle the world building politics much better than the other two shows. Which
I will give it credit. There are a lot of good ideas. It's really all in the presentation, and it's like a struggle. It's like the anime is fighting against watchability, which is not a great feature. Anyway, we'll see. We'll do a check-in.
Watchability is the main down point for it, because it does struggle at not tons, but quite a few times. But at least I'm interested and captivated with what does selling.
I wanted to be. I really wanted to be, but it just could not. I don't know. Maybe we'll return to it if we feel like it. But
did you met the guy, right? In the city?
Yeah.
The city boy?
Yeah, we have the second half, yeah.
So eventually they meet up, and the two path lines kind of intertwine, and it kind of starts making sense.
Okay. That tracks, I suppose. All right. Let's move on. Speaking of one of those shows we were just talking about, Ars no Kyojuu.
Ars no Kyojuu.
And that's also a show that only Tim has watched, so
yeah,
the power continues.
But this one's done, so.
Juan and Chris watched, I think, 2 episodes of this.
Yeah.
And then they, in classic fashion, dropped it. And
for the record, I kind of wanted to keep going, but
I was 100% disinterested.
Super duper lost interest. And I also heard, obviously it's got a 6.14 on Mal, you can see right here. I heard that it wasn't very good, so that usually, if I'm the only one that's interested in a show and then I hear that most people aren't really liking it, it's hard for me to find the time to go back to it unless I think I am really into it and think that everyone else is wrong, which was not the case for this one. I thought it was interesting, but not crazy. So
God, where do I start with this show? The world building was horrendous. The pacing was non-existent. The ring prophecy that they teased in episode 1 never got elaborated on.
Great.
The cat character transforms at times, and that never got explained at all. The villains are extremely vague, and they're more like a boogeyman. We literally know nothing about them. The political pieces are very poorly explained with how the different factions work. Literally half the show is them visiting random villages, which contributes to the extremely poor pacing, because it seems like a poor use of their time. There's literally almost no purpose into them visiting each village, except to maybe I guess pick up the rest of their gang. But attempts were made to give quote unquote some of the core cast members interesting backstories, but it constantly fell short, which was a shame, because that was really the only main selling point the show had left, and it was just kind of a mess all throughout.
That's lame. It's always sad when these original anime that are at least trying to do something unique kind of fail, but I'm glad they're getting made. This at least is still marginally more interesting than most of the light novel filth that gets dumped on our plates every single season, but oh well.
I could see a universe where this is
better
a success and done well. It's just I feel every part of execution was not done right.
Oh well, too bad. All right, then I assume that's a not very high recommend from you.
No, not recommend at all.
Okay, well then let's move on to a better show. Juan.
All right, Blue Lock, baby. I famously dropped it after episode 3, and the others dropped it because they don't watch stuff without me. So, well, to my surprise, when the season was over, my TikTok became flooded with edits of it constantly. It was enough to bully me into watching the show again. And episode 3 was really just a down point. Everything else really picked up. So
I would say 5 is when it kind of picks up.
5? Yeah, I think so.
It took a little bit more time before it picks up, but it picked up, and then I told Juan that it picked up, and then I guess TikTok convinced him.
Dude, like it was insane. Like my TikTok is just like flooded with Blue Lock edits, and like sure, like episode 5 picks up, but like it's still like pretty like okay. Like I still had like my issues with it, except for like the animation. The animation like really pops off sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
But like the second half is exactly what I wanted from Blue Lock, where like it was the.
You mean phase 2?
Phase 2.
Well, phase 3, I guess. I think it's phase 3 actually, because
it was called the second selection. That's what that arc is called. Like,
yeah.
Where they're like split off, and then like they have to like form groups of 3, and then like.
Yeah, I think
the
win, 2v2, 3v3 things all created like really interesting dynamics, and because the teams were constantly changing, it always felt like fresh, and you always had like a new cast member they were going up against.
And the stakes were just like immense. Like it was the stakes that I was promised for like from the beginning, where it was like a battle royale kind of.
I still don't really feel the battle royale, because even if they lose, they're not out yet, you know.
Yeah.
I still think the battle royale was a bad like sell of the show.
It is a bit of a bad sell, but like it's still really hype. I think it got me so hyped up that like I want to read the manga now. Like it's rare for me to like have those moments.
Yeah, did this wrap up at all, or is it clearly just?
I mean, like it ended at a good point.
It had a good stopping point. There is obviously like they obviously hinted a lot more coming, and they literally announced season 2 right when the episode ended.
Yeah, they announced season 2 and a movie.
No, I think it's not a movie; it's a spin-off series.
I thought the movie was covering the spin-off series, episode Nagi.
Is that a movie?
I think so. Maybe. I could be spreading misinformation right now. I don't know.
I can look it up real quick.
It says movie on Mal.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I would highly recommend this for any shonen freaks out there,
or like sports anime fans. This is definitely the premier. I would say the premier sports anime right now. One of the biggest ones recently. For sure, I've heard good things. If you're into if the World Cup earlier last year left you hankering for some more soccer, or you just like these kinds of high stakes sports shows.
I wish I was into Blue Lock when the World Cup was happening.
World Cup finals,
dude. Like it would have been so insane.
That 1 centimeter like anime thing people losing their mind about.
Yeah.
Hey,
absolutely done.
We can switch to a sports podcast right now. That final match was pretty good. I don't even watch sports, and that final match.
Don't fucking talk to me about Messi. I'm pissed. I bet
Shouldn't
it against
you support
Messi.
him?
No. Argentina was the reason why Mexico got kicked out.
Yeah, but
so fuck them.
You're not gonna cheer for another Latin American country over the French.
Dude, Mbappe did awesome.
He's great. Yeah, I like him. Anyway,
we're
losing the 5 viewers that we have. We're talking about no more jock shit. More jock shit.
Back to track. Ultimately, like Blue Lock is a good epitome of like the sports shonen genre. Is just like high intense sports stakes escalated constantly. So, and I think they did that pretty good. So
yeah, and like I actually watched a sports show and I enjoyed it now. It's the first one ever.
Do you guys watch? Actually, no, you guys don't really watch sports shows.
No,
we don't.
It's mostly me that hates sports shows.
This is the first proper sports shows you guys have seen in like a long time.
Don't lump in the others. They didn't finish watching it.
Yeah, and we watched a different sports anime, and it was great. We'll get there later. All right. So, it sounds like you guys both highly recommend Blue Lock. Is that correct?
Yes.
I would highly recommend it, but I think it was good.
I would highly recommend for like any shonen fan that like wants to get into sports. I'd say this is a good entry point for that.
Okay, cool. All right, up next, Buddy Daddies. This is probably one of the bigger shows this season. It's definitely one that we all hyped up a lot in the previous episodes, and I, at least for me, really like how it ended. I think that this is a really great little one-core anime. It did basically exactly what it set out to do. It had great stakes. It was the character development was really good. I really like specifically Rei's growth as a character throughout the show. It was very sweet. It is still probably one of the best showcases of parenting a child I've ever seen in anime. this is having babies propaganda. Even beyond the grave, Shinzo Abe lives on. And I think it was really compelling. I think the relationship was very genuine. And all of the fun spy assassin shit was a good time as well.
Chris, all I'm saying is that I think you and I should adopt a kid. We should go kill a man and take his kid.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even have to be hired assassins first.
Yeah.
We don't even need to like start with a dog or anything first.
Nah. I mean, they didn't start with... Oh, actually, no. They mentioned that they had dogs or pets.
I mean, also, they tried to adopt a cat at the beginning.
Yeah.
Either way, what did y'all think about Buddy Daddies? I really liked it. I think I was a little hotter on it than some of the others. I thought this was a really sweet and charming series.
I think this easily matched the hype that we gave this show, me personally. Like,
I really like...
sorry.
Go ahead, Juan.
Easily the best show with like no pre-existing material this season. Like, it was extremely heartfelt and funny the entire time. Spoilers, I called the ending 100% in the last episode. Like not necessarily word for word, but like for the most part, like it doing a time skip and like showing Miri grown up in high school. If I wasn't tired during the finale, I would have 100% cried.
It was very sweet.
Yeah, we can go to him.
Yeah. I really liked the parenting aspect. It was really a lot of cute and wholesome moments. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I do think the whole like hitman killer assassin thing was more detrimental to the series than it was helpful. Like a lot of the things that were a little bit messy and sloppy about the show comes to the fact that they were hitmans and it was the whole.
I think it was well balanced. I think it added.
I don't think it really added that much, other than like a few comedic moments, like with the knife scene with him dying. But like, if it was just a show about like a girl showing up to two guys living together and being like, "I'm your daughter," and they adopt her, the show, all like the best part of the shows would have been like the same and fine.
I mean, the climax wouldn't have worked at all.
I can see what you're saying.
I don't agree.
The climax with the whole fight thing, I don't.
I think Ray's character doesn't function if you take out his backstory and everything that happened there. I also thought the villain was interesting. Not the dad, but the crazy guy that wants to take everyone's last word. I think he made for a decently compelling villain of that kind of archetype.
I think he was kind of dumb.
I just think the way they killed him
was his whole obsession was the right kind of dumb.
It worked. Like I said, that's the thing about the show. Is I think everything works. Like I think everything about it clicks together nicely to make a cohesive narrative, and I didn't have any major issues with any of it. So
I feel like they were like, "Oh, we're not gonna get people to watch the show unless we add some like weird hijink twist to it." So like, makes them all assassin, and that's what they did. But I really didn't think they needed that.
Well, I don't agree. I think that's what the whole show is about. So
no, the whole show is about the amazing Miri.
Yeah, but like, it's the fact that they have a very high octane dangerous job and then they get dropped.
No, it's the fact that they're all dysfunctional people with flaws and they came together caring for Miri.
Yeah, but again, it's still about.
I feel like I'm kind of the opposite of Tim on it. I almost wish that it had a little bit more action. I feel like Chris seems to disagree,
actually.
But
no, I agree.
I think that it kind of forgets that it's an action comedy for like bits in the middle, and it just kind of leans really hard in on the family dynamic thing, which is not the end of the world, but I just, it promises something that it doesn't deliver on all the time.
I would be okay if they did that, like, because that's why I think it's fine without it, because I feel like they really didn't lead into it. It was just like a random like hijinks to get people to sell people on the show. But like, I think it's a lot easier to take off the little action than adding a lot more action.
I just think in the perfect world, this could have been a 2-core, and we could have had a little bit more time for them to flesh it out. But I also think that, like I said, I think this was paced very well, and I'm not going to complain too much if the trade-off is the actiony assassin gimmick was lessened for the raising a child portions of the narrative, which I think were handled very well. I
would have rather the children aspect hit more than the action, because we have tons of those action like hijinks shows.
I feel like these are nitpicks, and that overall this is still easily one of the best shows of this season, and that y'all should watch it. It's good.
Yeah, I definitely recommend the show regardless.
Great animation, great voice acting, very, very cute dynamic. If you like wholesome stuff, like I know it's about assassins, but you should give it a try. It has probably the most wholesome moments of any show this season for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like how we went through this entire review without mentioning Spy Family.
Yeah, because it's not really similar at all. I don't get like.
There's still like some similarities to it. But,
yeah, I just
like
think
if you had to make any like comparison as a whole, it would be Spy Family. But like individually, like the family racing part is not like Spy Family, and then the action stuff isn't like Spy Family. Yeah. But like there's very few shows that have
bad
that
analysis to point
family X Spy analysis. It's just a very easy go-to comparison.
PA Works on a hot streak. Keep it up. Let's see what they keep. Their originals have been really good.
Like 1 or 2 shows this next season?
They have one show next season.
One show? What was it? Do you remember?
Skip to Lofu.
Yeah. Another big one, which I've heard.
That's an adaptation though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Buddy Daddies, well done. Now to kind of flip another very high octane
I didn't realize
show.
this is next.
Another very high octane show. High Card was fucking weird, dude.
Oh, I misread. Okay, no, we're good on that.
Yeah, so we're talking about High Card. I think that this show is a mess, but it is very entertaining. That is for sure. I do not think this is necessarily a good anime. I think it fails in lots of ways. But it is fun to watch. It's fun to see what insane shit happens on a week by week basis. I don't know. I think a lot of elements of this show are pretty severely underbaked. The whole battle system is really not explored in an interesting way. Like the events of the show kind of happen around the cards, and they like use the cards to fight, but that's about it. And so you don't end up seeing. You'd think that the show would be more focused on like collecting the cards and like, oh, what do all these different cards do? And it'd be more like a little bit more shonen-y and focus on the battle elements and the power system, but it's like not, which is fine. It's just the things that they choose to focus on are they vary wildly in tone and quality, is what I will say. How did the others feel about High Card?
I think you were too nice on it. Like I think the show stagnated really hard after that first episode.
Okay, granted, High Card's one of those like half-seed done shows because they have a season 2 announced for
season
July,
2 is
just like all the other stuff.
Now, but I think it's got problems now, and we should talk about the problems it has.
Yes, I think there are problems, but I do think some of the problems at least might be into the next problem, because like one of my issues with like the whole Orphish Black Knight thing that literally appeared and disappeared immediately, and obviously he is going to be a big influence in the next season. So I'm not going to pick too much on that. I do think the show had a lot of potentials, and it was kind of wasted. Like the power system for once. Like we had a really cool like marble
it's such a neat system. Yeah.
And then the rest of the powers weren't like nearly as interesting.
They were literally cookie cutter powers.
I think
this guy's earth, this guy's metal, this guy controls fire.
Yeah. And it turns out if you combine them, you die. So we can't even like get those kind of like cool.
That was kind of interesting,
powers.
Actually.
It wasn't handled great, but it was at least. Cards. Yeah, I agree with Tim. It is at least something. It's like something to do with them.
I'm hoping they like with that in season 2. I think the cast is kind of pretty weak overall. Obviously we had Finn and what's his face this season.
They just didn't give time for any of the side characters.
The other 2 characters literally got no screen time.
There's 3.
There's 3. Yeah.
There's 3 characters.
3. Yes, I forgot about
the one guy with the purple hair
guy.
is like, not in the show at all.
Yeah. BJ, whatever his name was it BJ? Yeah.
Yeah, BJ, the Indian guy, the girl,
and then the rich guy.
The rich guy, yeah. So a lot of wasted potential. I'm kind of on like it's kind of mediocre, but there's also, like I said, it's only like technically half done. So
I'm just worried
about it yet.
I'm just worried season 2 is going to be bad in the same way that season 1 is. Like that's my current expectation. I am probably going to watch it just because I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if it's kind of just more of the same. Logan, did you have any specific thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like you said, it just kind of like stalls out and mellows out for a while. It does have high spots kind of within, that weird stalling. Like I really do love the scene where Bobby Ball shows back up and destroys the orphanage. I thought that was really cool, and they're having to like escape the fire and all of that.
Robert Testicle himself.
Yeah,
yes,
Bobby Ball is the clear
himself.
Highlight of the show, for the record. Coolest power,
when are we getting the
wackiest
Bobby Ball
villain.
spinoff?
Yeah.
Fun name.
Dies for real and then comes
Mhm.
back and was not actually dead or whatever. Anyway.
Well, I mean, in the first episode, he never died.
Yeah, it just looked like he did. But
Well, no, like he literally showed up like in episode 3 or 4.
oh, whatever. I can't
Oh,
remember,
huh.
man.
See, yeah, that's what the show does to you. I think that High Card is really lucky that it aired in a week season, because
Dude, yeah,
in a
for sure.
it
would have dropped
it
this,
would
I
not
thought.
have survived. It would not have survived like the season we're about to go into. I don't think.
I just
Yeah.
what kept me coming, and this is ironic because this is definitely a flaw of the show. What kept me coming back each week is that this show cannot nail its tone. It is completely incapable of deciding what kind of show it wants to be. It will swing wildly from like Saturday morning, like Scooby-Doo level antics.
You want to just talk about the hand-holding episode?
Yeah, there is an episode in which two of the main characters, one of the girls' cards is like she can make people or two things stick together, and she puts the two main characters' hands, so they're stuck holding hands until they can get her to solve it, and it's normal hijinks that you would expect to happen there. And then the back half of the episode is about one of the characters' sisters dying of cancer. I am not kidding. That is how it is played, and it is extremely sad.
Extremely serious.
Yeah,
Yes.
Granted, it does come back up at the end.
Of course. And I'm not saying that they're not like, they're taking it all seriously. Everything that comes up in this show is taken seriously. But like there's like a mafia and people get like tortured and brutally murdered in this show. And it's just, the tone is, it cannot balance the hijinks and the serious stuff in any way at all. And it makes it difficult to take the serious stuff seriously because it's not, like I said, they're not playing it up to be dramatic. They are the entire show is played completely straight. And that is, like I said, it's entertaining to watch. I would not say it's good. So if you're looking for something wacky, I don't know, it's all right. You could check this out if you want.
I would not recommend this show.
I
it only worked as a seasonal show.
I wish it was like
watch this
30%
later.
funnier, and then I could give it a better recommendation.
I agree.
How about you, Tim? Recommend or no?
No. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe season 2.
I was gonna say, are you gonna watch season 2?
I'll watch episode 1 of season 2, and if
Just to see.
if it doesn't interest me, then I'll drop it.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Yep,
could
that's all
talk
you
about
want.
how I don't think that Chris is a very good character either, despite him having my name. But anyway, let's talk about
you
this.
Got it,
fucking
Chris. Come
submit.
on.
You don't know this.
Damn.
It's a fact of life.
All right,
Chris's
let's
are
talk
mid.
about this horse shit.
All right, baby. Fucking.
I should have
more
said
like
dog
dog
shit.
shit.
Yeah, I should have said dog shit.
Hey, all right. Inukai-san's dog,
5.1.
or my life as Inukai-san's dog.
5.
This show is easily the most degenerate show I've ever seen. Would you agree, Tim?
More so than reviewers.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's-
reviews. Okay, reviews is not that bad.
Okay.
Sure, like the whole like pretext of them having sexivity like episode is.
I mean, at least they're honest and
Kinda
upfront
yikes.
about what it's gonna be about.
but like
you know.
it actually takes itself pretty like seriously and
Right,
normally at
right.
the end of the day. This one is like
It's
a
on
lot of like
next level
yikes
shit.
moments. Like
This show is about 3 girls trying to fuck a dog.
I mean,
well, 2 goes.
2
One
girls
girl
and one girl
unintentionally.
trying not to fuck a dog.
I don't know what you thought it was gonna be about with the premise that it has, and you're surprised that the dog fucking show is about dog fucking. I don't know, Juan.
It's just insane how fucking close they get to fucking this dog. Like, it gets so fucking close some episodes. It's insane.
So,
And,
I
like,
can't.
how did y'all
the-
feel about it? Because it just kind of sounds like y'all are pointing at it and like with mouths agape, like, "Whoa, this is crazy, bro."
I
What's
think
the
this
merit
show would be perfect to watch, like, at a party, to, like, binge, and, like, you're, like, absolutely wasted.
I don't-
You're just, like...
I don't think I'd ever want to watch this,
People-
even in that
That would be
state.
a really weird
People were
party.
paid
What a
to
party.
make this.
Like there's shitty, ecchier hentai that I could see being funny at a party, but not this, man. I don't know.
All right, Juan's next party, he's gonna pull this up for us.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
So,
not coming to
give
your
it- if you
birthday
could-
anymore.
Maybe like a compilation video of all the most like fucked moments, but even then, I don't.
There is one specific moment that made me scream so fucking loud. I'm sure you remember, Tim.
Which one?
The table coon scene.
Oh, well, I think there was way worse scenes than that one.
I know, but like it
good
just
lord.
caught me so off
I gotta
guard.
be careful on this Mal page, or I'm gonna get us demonetized. Anyway,
Fine.
I know.
Everything on Mal. is,
Anyway, would y'all
S-
recommend
FW.
this?
I would recommend this to an absolute fucking freak in the audience. If you're just absolutely down bad, want to watch 3 girls try to fuck a dog, fucking go for it. I
Okay,
guess,
so
bro.
for normal people, no.
For normal people, no. No, don't
watch
touch
it.
this with anything.
No.
Not with a 10-foot stick, not with a 100-pole stick.
Okay. Moving on.
But if you're a fucking freak, go for it, my guy. Fucking
I-
go for it, I guess.
I think the joint for the show was just seeing just how insane the like scenario, how like they forced the scenario to be. Especially like the last 3 episodes we were watching alone because
Yeah.
we couldn't get together. There was some like what
Dude,
the fuck moment?
I had to watch those 3 episodes at work, and I was fighting
Why was
so hard to like
Danger
not
zone.
scream.
Danger
Juan,
zone?
I want to make something perfectly clear. You didn't have
Yeah, you
to
didn't have
watch
to.
those at work. You could have just
I
not
have a
watched
duty
them.
to fulfill to watch every show
He's
that
gonna
I
get
set out to
fired from the
finish.
podcast. He's a real champion.
Hey, I was in my car, but
there
like
you
still
go.
like oh
All right.
oh my god! I wish I was watching.
We're spending too much
with
time
Tim
on
and
this
Mark.
bad show.
I wish I could say that them putting a ball gag around a dog was not true.
Ugh.
What do you
But what?
Ugh. Anyway,
what do you mean it's not
no,
true?
let's just.
No, I said I wish I could say
That
it's
was
not
like a
true.
thing that didn't happen that he didn't have to watch.
No, but yeah, that is something that happened.
Please God, let's do.
All right, we can move on.
Next is Isekai Nonbiri Nouka, or Farming Life in Another World.
Oh,
Yeah.
that one.
This one was actually a really surprising one for me. I'll keep this one short because none of you guys know anything about it.
Mhm.
It is Isekai, and of course he gets reincarnated, he gets overpowered. But like the thing that really sells the show, because I feel like if I try to analyze it, it's really nothing like does anything super special, but like it just has a really chill like vibe. It's like when people like talk about like Stardew and they're like, oh, it's just like super chill to get into it for hours. This is a show that was just kind of just comfy and enjoyable, and they did a really good job with this one. It's my I would say Isekai this season, but that's not true because Kage is a thing. But I would actually recommend this one to people.
Okay.
It was chill and enjoyable, and
Nice.
that's all I was
If you're looking for comfy farming anime, Stardew. Does he fuck all the hoes? Haha.
he
Farming
fucks
tool
one
humor.
host.
Okay.
Fox One Ho, nice.
Not the harem.
He's committed. He's no hero.
Okay.
Well, that's true. Okay, well, everybody wants to fuck him,
But he only goes
he-
for the
he's-
one. All right. All right.
yeah.
All right.
He's loyal. He's
All right. Well, then,
you know.
since you mentioned it before, how about you tell us about that next one?
Yes, Kage something or Eminence in the Shadow.
Yeah, Eminence of Shadow.
Eminence
Uh,
show. Oh, okay, it's that. Okay.
I think this was the most fun I had watching a show this season.
For the
part of
record,
it-
I intend to go back and watch this whole show. I've heard way too much about it. So,
I highly
I'm excited.
recommend everyone goes back and watch it. Part of it is because I'm Isekai trash, but the show just like naturally radiates like the kind of like things that like every other Isekai like sucks off trying to be. But they do it very naturally while also throwing in a lot of comedic elements to keep the show fresh. The whole like Sid is like not aware, or he's like actively trying to be the background character, or he like turns the dial to like 10,000x and becomes like super cringe and things. Gives it a really fun twist to the show. I know Gig did a video about that one, and I think he did an amazing job trying to just like sell the show. And
It did
explain
tempt me a
the
little.
values. I think I've seen the show like 3 times.
Wow.
3
since it's finished
times?
airing.
What?
Yes, I watched it once by myself, once with my group of friends, and then once because it's just a really fun show just to turn on.
That's
Like it's
crazy.
nothing like overcomplicated, you know, it's just like you want something entertaining to watch on the side, you just pull it up to go to bed, pull an episode, and I just had so much fun watching.
I'm realizing I don't have the
watching
screen
this
up,
one.
but this show like just for the record, Juan, this is an 8.35 on Mal. Like really
That's
high.
pretty high.
Yeah, that's really high for a seasonal show. So I've heard lots of great things about the show as it was going on. We talked about it a little bit in our preview show. I really liked episode 2 of this, which is part of why, like, me and Juan hated episode 1, and then I really liked episode 2, and I didn't end up going back to it, and that was clearly a mistake. I do intend to go through and binge this later. I think it seems fun.
A lot of comparisons is made to One Punch Man, and I kind of agree.
Oh, that's
because it is throwing a lot of like shade and satire, making fun of its own genre and turning it like upside down. It's also very like an exaggerated top kind of show.
Yeah,
with a lot of like love and passion behind the series, and you can really feel that.
Yeah. So if you're looking for an isekai that's doing it a little bit differently, that actually has, first of all, some meat to it. It's a 20 episode show, so there's a little bit more to get into. Then definitely check this one out. This one clearly did something correctly. And
this one also has a season 2 confirmed for this year already.
Oh, cool. That's more incentive for me to get caught up. All right. Next up is a completely different genre.
Yeah, 100%. Koori Zokusei Danshi. I will not say the rest of the name. It is the Yuki Onna guy and the office romance show. It was very cute, but man, I really wanted to like the show. Like I was a big advocate for it. Like in the past couple episodes, like the slow pacing was fine, but spoilers, they don't get together in the end. So like it all just felt like a waste to me. Like the entire show takes place in the span of a year, and they clearly like each other. Like they should have gotten together at the end. They really should have.
Well, like every show in this genre is like that.
I know, but like I'm tired of this trope. Just fucking get together. Like within 12 episodes, I feel like a couple should get together.
I think there has to be a good compelling reason for them not to. With like the plot has more moving pieces or whatever, but in these like simple slice of life shows where it's literally just about them interacting, it can get frustrating. And I am so glad I didn't watch this, dude. I would have lost my mind. I cannot
feel like
deal with the pace of this show at the early episodes.
There is like an audience that this show is looking for, and it's the Shotacons, because like the main guy can turn into a Shota. Okay. If he's like stressed enough.
Okay, Juan.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
I wouldn't say it's only for the show.
No, it's more...
I wouldn't say only, but like I'd say element. Yeah, exactly.
I think obviously, like, him transforming is catering to those people who are like, oh, he's so adorable kind of thing. But like,
he's so adorable and helpless and like, oh man.
All right, you're making it weird. Anyway, maybe not the best showing for this. How do you feel about it, Tim?
I wish I could recommend this, but like at the end of the day, I don't think I can.
How about you, Tim? What do you think?
I agree that the pacing was kind of slow and dragging down. I think they all had their own kind of like highlights between like the main two couple had a couple highlights. The like side couple had a couple of good highlights. I think the Phoenix was highly like underutilized. The ship was like basically non-existent. Yeah, and the sister was also kind of like
wasted at the end.
I could totally see this being so much better. Just if they like picked up a little faster, add a couple, spread things in, add the cast properly, and do some hijinks. But it was basically just the same like one-off gag over and over again. With him being like, "Oh, she's so cute. She likes me," and he freezes things over.
The gag is fine.
Like,
who could have predicted such a tragedy?
Like the gag is fine. I just wish they fucking got together at the end. Like,
there was no way they would get together, and I came like going in. I just wish like they did. There was more interaction between the two because I feel like the interaction with them was very minimum. Mostly because they're both like kudereis kind of thing. They're both like very shy people, so like the pacing is even slower compared to like other relationship like romance shows. And that really felt like it dragged.
Yeah, this just doesn't. I don't know. If you're into this genre, honestly, I just keep our spring recommendation show or spring preview show because there's a lot more romances that seem way more interesting this season. But oh well.
Or watch Wodokoi.
Or watch Wodokoi, which is like this show but better. Okay, Logan. Tell us about a show that we finished, just the two of us, A Rare Feat.
Yeah, that almost never happens. And that feat was accomplished by Mou Ippon, the judo girls show. And I think this show is really good when they're doing judo. And I think it's like perfectly competent when they're not doing judo. Like it's just kind of fine, you know.
What, you don't like the characters?
It's not that I don't like it's not that I don't like the characters or anything. It's just, I don't know. They all just kind of felt fine. It just kind of feels like a club show, except for when they're doing judo, and then it turns into a martial arts show, which is a thing I like a lot more than a club show. And I was very happy when it turned out in like the back half of this that it was like all one big tournament that they were going to. Like, we're not gonna stop and go back to the club room anymore. It's just like we're gonna keep doing judo a whole lot, because the fight choreography in this is really cool. I like that each of the main characters kind of has their own style. Like you've got the glasses girl who mostly goes for pins, or you've got the super competent ace girl who's just really good at everything. I don't know. I think it's just really good when they are doing judo, and then I think it's just perfectly fine. You know, it's acceptable.
I should have expected that from the anti-slice of life person in this group.
Yes.
I on the other hand think this was phenomenally well done. I love the character like dynamic and interaction with them, and how they built them up and gave all of them like really nice backstories and slowly grew the group together. I think like Logan said, the martial arts is extremely like surprisingly competently like super well done. I really don't have many faults to say about this show. Yeah, go ahead, Logan.
There is some real like talking is a free action moments where they're like shouting full paragraphs of instructions to someone mid-throw, and that throws me off a little bit. But
I think it's made a little bit more funny than it is in some other sports. In just like she's throwing a human being. It is very clear in real time this is happening within the span of a second, and they get to get like an entire paragraph of strategy that they're shouting. I also think it's funny that they're shouting it where the opponent can like hear it, and you'd think they would adjust or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to echo a lot of what they've said. I think that I'm a little bit more in between where Tim and Logan are at. I mostly liked this as a judo show. I think that was the most compelling part of it. I liked watching all the fights. I learned a lot about judo. I don't know very much about judo before this, and now I think I have a good grasp of the sport. I think I liked the characterization of all the girls. They're all very distinct. I think they were all very well developed in a short span of a 12-episode anime. I think their relationships are all very wholesome. I don't think it breaks that much new ground as far as the characterizations go, and I think that it trends to being like very happy-go-lucky, and that's fine, and I like that more than it being super dramatic or edgy. But it does end up, I would say, maybe making it not as impactful overall when you kind of look at the grand narrative. And also, this is really at its core the beginning of a manga, and it, at least for what this show feels like, is a club that's not really that good at judo, just kind of going and having a good time as they get better, because they don't like place very well at any of the tournaments they go to, which I can relate to in many of the things that I try to compete in. But yeah, I quite liked this. I thought it was very cute, well animated, and good, solid sports anime. Highly recommend if you're looking for if you like martial arts at all, definitely check it out. If you like cute girls doing cute things show, I think this is a really solid like cute girls club show with well written characters. There's a lot to like in Mou Ippon. All right, I think we're moving into another Tim Power Hour.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, we are doing the Power Hour. All right, I'll keep this one. All right. So these are 3 shows. We're going to look at these shows that none of the group here watch. So I'm going to have to go through these pretty quickly to keep them entertained.
The Saving 80,000 Gold. Yeah.
This one, all I would say is the pacing was absolutely like insane off the ball. It's like fast, speeding through things. And the show was like literally gate the entire time. It tricked us.
Oh,
it was actually just gate. That's all I would say. The end.
Okay.
Would have recommend, but it was a kind of a fun thing. Tondemo skill. This one is the Mappa one.
Yeah, the cooking Mappa one.
cooking one. So this one did not, to no one's surprise, revolutionize Isekai. It was basically the same cycle over and over again. Is big wolf thing kills everything. Guys cooks the food, and then everyone says how good it is. Rinse and repeat. And I was literally that for like 12 episodes. It was fine, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's not to say the word. Anyways, what next? What's next?
Tenshi is the last one.
Oh, Tenshi, yes. This one, very very sweet anime. Like I said before, very heavy on the self inserts and a little bit weak on the animation. Though this isn't really the kind of show that really needs great production. But regardless, everything else in the show is really carries the show really easily. I'm just really glad that this isn't Koori whatever thing, and they actually get together in the end. So it was a really nice payoff to see all the sweet moments and having them actually get together.
Is the story done? Is it like concluded?
I don't know if there's more. There probably is more, but they're like a couple by the end of the first season.
Well, that's nice at least.
So that was a very nice payoff. And with these kind of shows, there's really not much more that you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
cool.
that's it for Quick Power Hour. Onimai is a generally well-written and wholesome story about getting a new chance on life. The show is heavily overshadowed by like the sporadic fan service and some questionable things that happens in the show, which gives people a quick to like label it as like trash and move on. But while there's those, while I do wish there were like a little bit less of those questionable scenes, it doesn't detract from its core theme, which is basically like watching our like guy, our main character, transform from this like depressed, stay home like neat to get his new chance at life, to like watching him like opening up to his sister and other people, watching him like grow to like make new friends and taking steps to have them become a better person. Generally, great character development on the main character and watching him like influence the people around him. This show is Studio Bind.
Yeah, Bind.
So obviously we have it. It holds to the expectations we have. It has the same kind of directorial like amazingness and quality that we've come to expect from them with Mushoku. It was consistent like all season long, and then the last episode in particular I think might be the best episode of the season. It was just like 11 out of 10 to keep very
I heard lots and lots of good things about the show as it was going on. So my real thing is that I think Studio Bind should be banned from making horny anime for at least the next couple of productions that they make, and just like focus their energy on their clear and obvious talents and like making good anime.
Mushoku's a good anime.
That's what but Mushoku also has the same problem where its biggest detriments are it's weird fan service that can detract from the overall experience, which is I think the same problem that this show has. Anyway, I wish I could have given this one a shot, but I'm just not sure if I could have made it through all the other stuff, because otherwise I've heard it was a really compelling like coming of age story and like about coming out of your shell. And I've heard some people say that there's even some like trans allegory that you can look into this as well, which I think is interesting. That's always nice to have that kind of representation, but
he kind of embraces his like female, because obviously the guy like gender bends when he like gets turned into a kid, but he like towards the end of the show he really kind of embraces the like femininity of himself and doing more like girly stuff, which I don't know if it's a statement on like anything. I can see some people making influence.
It's just a reading that one can take.
Yeah, I won't say anything concrete, but like if you want to read that way, then more power to you. I don't, you're not gonna harm anyone if I'm thinking that way.
Oh well.
I remember I watched up to episode 3, and like episode 3 is like what kind of like threw me off of the show. So it's a shame because like I did also hear that like the production like was like really good.
Oh, it's beautiful. I've seen lots of clips.
And I've also heard that like because of this show, that like a lot of the people that were working on Mushoku Tensei aren't gonna coming back for season 2. So there's
No,
been, like,
that's not necessarily true. That's not true. That's not necessarily true at all.
I'm sure.
I know like the main director worked on this and is not going to be doing season 2.
Yeah,
I
but
know
that's
that.
common.
Yeah, because he's working on Idolmaster instead. He's
Yeah.
on U149.
Um,
But like that's more U49 than Mushoku.
I'm sure
And that's also
Mushoku
just like
season 2 will
yeah.
be good. I'm sure it'll be up to the level.
it would still be phenomenal. I think it won't nearly be as amazing, but it's still gonna be like heads and above like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the director moving has more to do with like the anime industry and their like scheduling nightmare than anything else.
And I don't know. I was half joking about the studio buying thing, but I really do want to see them on a newer production that doesn't have to lean on like horny jokes as much, just to like see if they can do it, because it feels like a weird calling card. You know what I mean? To like make as your like thing.
It's fine. They've already done 2 stuff.
I know they have plenty of time. That's what I'm saying. I'm still excited to see.
Let them cook, Chris. Let them cook.
We'll see what they got. All right.
Him with the street lingo here.
Next up is Revenger.
Oh, that sounds
Very
awesome.
Yes.
Oof. Right. I don't really know why we're watching this show. Is it the cast? No, it can't be because we don't really find anything about them besides obviously Rizo, the main samurai guy, he's like the main character in the show is revolving all around him. But other than him, we don't really know anything about other characters except for Nico. We get like one random like episode with kind of that gives a glimpse into their backstory. But like for the rest of it, they like introduce a decent sized cast, which has very kind of interesting cast, but like their reasoning, alignment, beliefs, like anything about them that would make them at all like interesting beyond what they like, them being like, oh, cool character is like non-existent. The whole thing is surrounding like opium from episode 1 to the last episode. There's a whole like politics system around them, which usually drags the show down. It like literally actively makes the show worse, in my opinion. This one, the main selling point I think that got most people into it was like, Gan was the one who like made the story, and I think, there was some really cool standalone like dark and cool moments that Uebichi did, but ultimately I feel like he's really been on a decline the last couple of years.
I mean, he hasn't really worked on a major project in a long time.
He has. What are you talking about? He did Bubble.
Oh, I forgot he did Bubble. Never mind. Maybe you're right. Maybe he fell
Ruby.
off. I forgot
He did the Ruby. And then he did Out Noah Zero.
Well, that was a long, no offense to our age and how old that's going to make us feel. That was a long time ago. And also, he didn't do Out Noah Zero. He wrote the first episode and like an outline, and they broke off from it pretty soon.
And all of his like successful franchise has been milked to mediocrity or have flopped. Like Psychopath is on its like 8th movie, and Madoka's on its like 3rd spin-off series and 6th movie or whatever it is. It's like I feel like Uebichi name doesn't hold the same weight it did like back in the day, and Revengers is a good like testament to that, because it felt like kind of like a hot mess where I don't really know what I was watching other than some like occasionally cool scenes and moments and like random, I guess, like dark things, which is like kind of his calling card. He kind of likes to kind of gruesome stuff. But it kind of just, I really didn't know why I was watching the show. And that's really my main complaint is nothing kind of came together.
Yeah. Damn. I guess increasingly common Uebichi L. We'll see. I still think he could bounce back at some point.
I don't know, man. We've been saying that since Out Noah Zero.
True. Again, he wasn't responsible for that one.
No.
Next up, this is Tensei Ojo to Tensei Reijo, whatever, or the magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and a genius young lady. So, Juan and I watched this show. This is our watch together at dinner show for a while. This is a really competently made fantasy show. It leans a little bit heavy on light novel dialogue, is how I will kindly describe it, which tends to be exposition heavy and lean on like the characters are going to talk about exactly how they're feeling in big chunks. But aside from that, it's got some of the best action animation of the season when it wants to, and at the same time, one of the more compelling romances that I've seen in a while in an anime. And I think that this did a lot of stuff right. I liked most of the cast of characters a lot. I really liked the main character Anise a lot. It was just a pretty good time, with a great ending, like a really genuinely great ending as well. I don't know how the others felt about it, but this has ended up being one of my favorite shows of the season when it all was said and done.
I really wish they didn't put Isekai Princess / Reincarnated Princess in the title. Like that's
that
just
is nothing.
clickbait.
It's fucking nothing to do with the show. Literally doesn't matter.
It came up during the first episode and the last episode. That's fucking it.
It could literally, like, it matters a little bit, just a little, and that it is the reason that she is the way she is, and that why she's interested in magic technology, because she has inspiration from the human world or whatever, but it does not come up otherwise. So I
kind of wish like they didn't show it like at all during the first episode. Like it could have been like a neat.
It would have been an interesting reveal. I agree, but they have to market it as an isekai because that's just how it is.
And I wish they didn't. I wish the Japanese people weren't so obsessed with isekai.
Man, I'm tired of it. I don't know when the trend's gonna end, but
I don't think anytime soon.
I kind of wish they let the show like breathe a little bit more.
I kind of agree.
There's a lot of emphasis on like, how much she loves her kingdom and the people around her and stuff like that, but we never see like any evidence of, we don't see that interaction or anything about the kingdom. We don't have any like loyalty to, or they basically don't exist in the contents of this show. It really felt like they were kind of rushing through the content to reach that like finale, which granted is a great finale, but like I don't know if it was worth the payoff of them rushing through all that. I wish we saw more like dynamic relationship conversation happening between the main two girls, or even like literally anyone in the main cast. I felt like they were really zooming through the content at times. I talked to Chris about this earlier, but I do feel like, instead of, having the weird convoluted vampire dragon thing.
The vampire thing was a little silly.
Thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that entire plot worked.
It kind of like detoured away from the show. Like the main thing that really like, I really like about the show is, the main chick and her relationship with the, what's her face.
I thought the political narrative was interesting, especially in how the political narrative impacted the way the show wrapped up. And that she was forced to become queen and didn't want to because it means that they all hated her because she, like, the magic is basically like a religion and she's basically like a atheist or whatever. It's interesting.
That also comes down to like I wish it would breathe a little bit more. We have us learn more about the kingdom or its people, or all we see is just these random people come in and say, "Oh, this is how it is," and it's like I wish you could have been more interesting. We're more invested in
and
what
maybe,
Ines is also invested in. Like her whole thing was like, "Oh, I gotta be this for the people," but like the people doesn't exist in the show. They're just like the thing she keeps mentioning in the background, like the boogeyman thing.
Like I said earlier, there's a lot of tell, don't show. There's a lot of exposition about that without really explicitly showing it, but.
And I feel like that's because they rush through that.
They're trying to rush through the light novel because this is done. This is basically the whole story that has been adapted.
Do you feel Ines really didn't have that much moments together?
I also felt that.
Like, I love the conclusion, but I feel like there wasn't much there to bridge the gap between like how it started and how it ended. Like they barely interacted throughout the series, and I wish they let more interaction.
True.
Happen.
I don't think there was as much.
Warrant like her change in the end when she's more aggressive and she's like confessing and everything. There wasn't nearly enough interaction to warrant that.
I agree that there is not as much explicitly romantically coded stuff early on, which is why I was so surprised how explicitly
just like
it
normal
ended.
Interaction. I don't think they interacted that much.
I don't know. They were together for a lot of the show.
Same with the maid and the best friend. It's just like I wanted to breathe.
Granted, I needed more time. I agree.
I love the romance. I love the finale. This is definitely one of the better like Yuri shows.
I was gonna say if you're looking for like good quality, because there's a lot of trashy Yuri like orange or not orange, citrus and like fucking Akuma no Riddle. I'm not gonna talk about that. But like if you're looking for like this show works by itself as a like action fantasy show without the Yuri, and so at the same time, for them to have like a pretty decently fleshed out Yuri romance that like coalesces and they get together and it's for real, which is something that never happens like outside of explicitly Yuri content, which I guess this is explicitly Yuri content.
This is explicitly Yuri content.
It doesn't feel like explicitly Yuri content in the way that other shows in the genre do, which is, I think it feels really just more like another like seasonal isekai that just happens to have this like a competent, like a decent one as well, which I think is what elevates this. And like we said, the finale is great, and also the animation and action is really good. Like they know when to make it. Has some of the better animation out of any show this season. So
fights were very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I hopped on the show a lot just now, but like I do think it's good, and I would recommend it. It's not perfect, but it is good.
It could have been handled better in some ways. And like I said, my biggest thing is I think the writing was pretty clunky at times. But if you have I'm going to make the educated guess that if you're listening to this podcast, you watch a lot of seasonal anime, which means that you have a certain tolerance for the kind of bullshit that exists in shows like these, especially these isekai fantasy shows, and you'll be able to get over it. But yeah, I'm just happy that I had a decent Yuri show actually deliver like this, because that never happens.
There's a couple more Yuri shows this year. Maybe.
Yeah, there's one this season. We'll see if it's anything.
This it is, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Wow, you didn't even give me a fucking chance to speak.
Oh,
man.
Wait. Did you not talk about this earlier? I thought you did.
Spoke a little bit, but
I spoke a little bit.
Okay, so tell us your thoughts, King. I'm interested.
I thought this show was all right. Like it was a decent dinner show for me and Chris. Like the whole action, like it could have been here or there with it. The dragon episode was actually really cool. Like it was like well animated. The entire
dragon was
episode.
The best like animated scene of the whole series.
And like definitely like kind of like up there for like the season maybe. Like it was like really cool. But like other than that, like I feel like the middle really stagnated. Like how Tim was saying, how like it was like rushing to like get to the end. And like I could definitely feel that too. Like, well, like the ending, like y'all have said, like it was absolutely beautiful. I'm glad they kissed. I'm so happy to see a Yuri show that actually like pulls off the Yuri.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like big recommend this. I say like a soft recommend, mostly to the Yuri baiters. You finally get something. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a good. It's just. I don't know. It's well done. I really, really enjoyed the last 2 episodes. I think they are pretty exceptionally well done.
I would throw this into like, if you're seasonal people, you should watch this one. But like, if you happen to miss it, I wouldn't go out my way to be like, you need to go back and watch this show.
Yeah.
But it would be good.
All right. Now we can move on to Tomo-chan. Tell us about Tomo-chan.
All right. Tomo-chan, baby. This show is actually pretty fun. And like I feel like it got better as each episode came out. Like I even think Chris could have actually liked it if he saw just the last 3 episodes.
I'm sure I could have kept up with it. It's not egregious or anything, but I don't
know. This is another show where I'm glad like we get a payoff at the end, because I was afraid this was going to be one of those like this drags on for like 3 seasons.
I also thought this manga was much longer than it is, and so I was really surprised.
It's incredibly short.
So I was really surprised that they did the whole thing and that they got together. I think that actually is a huge plus for this kind of show.
Check the manga real quick, Chris. How many chapters is it? Click adaptation.
Is it like 80?
It's 56, so very
56,
short.
Yeah, it's pretty short
actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, they adapted all of it pretty well. And then from what I heard, they almost adapted 1-to-1. I still stand by that. I think the supporting cast was like a huge like helping carry point for the show, especially when the main 2 people were struggling in the first half. But the second half, they the main 2 group balls and they actually progressed and were interesting. And I liked the romance and all that.
I like the backstory. Like once we like finally got that backstory episode, I was like, whoa, this is actually very compelling.
Who backstory? The main 2 backstory?
The main 2, yeah. Like how their like friendship started and like how middle school was.
Oh, and how they fell apart. Yeah, I liked how they did that. They did a good job, like making kind of a realistic, like fall apart, get back together, and how they like liked each other all the time, but didn't. And I could see that. It was a nice like people growing up and learn about the feelings and unable to convey it.
I think this show went up from being Jack in the Box tier to like McDonald's tier.
What is that in the grand scheme of things, Juan?
I am so offended that Jack in the Box is below McDonald's for you.
Well, no,
is it not for you?
Not for me, but like the general populace, you know.
Ugh. Who cares about them? They're just haters.
I know, but like, you know, like how like, yeah, there's like some people out there that like really like brag about going to McDonald's. You know, like I feel like that's what Tomo-chan is.
I'm losing the metaphor. This is getting ridiculous. None of that made any sense. Anyway,
One should only rate in fast food restaurants.
Fast food,
now.
yeah. Give us your the fast food equivalent to your list for every anime you watch. Yeah. I don't know. Perhaps I was too harsh. Exactly. Perhaps I was too harsh on this, but I also have no regrets for not watching it. I feel like, especially knowing how it ends, I have already seen the whole show and I didn't miss much.
That's fair.
I
think you would have liked the backstory. Because that was like your main issue, like why the MC was treating Tomo like that.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
I was more just didn't like the gags and thought they were repetitive, but
sure.
So I don't know.
I'd give this a soft recommend. Like if you're like in the mood for like a dumb rom-com, here you go.
It's not the best. It's not. I don't think it's up there in like the best rom-coms, but it is a good rom-com. So
just watch Romantic
I'd
Killer.
recommend it.
You want a redhead?
Same say you too. Actually,
I think
that's
I prefer Tomo over Romantic Killer.
That's crazy.
I mean, the production value of Romantic Killer was better for sure.
I think the hijinks and comedic things for Romantic Killer was better, but I do like the cast and the romance much more in this show.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Like I can't get over I cannot emphasize how much I love the supporting cast. The Kero and Misuzu.
Yeah.
Such a great dynamic between the two of them.
Especially Misuzu. I really loved Misuzu like all the way through.
Kero, we need Kero. We need like an agent of chaos in every show. Kage has taught me that, and Kero is the chica for this show.
Mm-hmm. All right. We can finally revive Logan from the dead.
Yeah, come back to us, please. We're done talking about kissing shows.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, Revenger, the most famous kissing show.
So Trigun Stampede, the last non-sequel we're going to be talking about here, is difficult to discuss because it's definitely like a Trigun shaped object. It's similar to the manga, but it's also so different from the manga and from the 98 show that it's funny. In the end, it turns out that it was a prequel all along. We weren't confused on that point. It was that's just how it is. I like this, and I'm judging it kind of separately from Trigun the manga and Trigun 98 just because it's so different from both of those. And frankly, Trigun 98 was pretty different from the manga too. This is its own thing that is in, the Trigun cinematic universe or whatever. And I think in that context, this is pretty good. I've heard the criticism around that it gets a little too serious. The whole, it just kind of doesn't take time to like take its foot off the gas pedal, especially like kind of in that midsection. And I think I agree with that, especially early on in Trigun. Like part of what made Trigun good is that it was super jokey in the beginning. And then it turns down the joke dial as it goes along, and it feels like this series didn't really do that.
Yeah.
I've also heard the criticism that it kind of gives away the whole sci-fi plot, which is a big mystery in the manga for a very long time. And I don't think that's that bad in this context, in the context of it being a new show. I like the mystery in Trigun Classic. I think that them just kind of giving it to us here, I don't think that that's a big deal because it leads up to a really nice climax. I think it's cool that we finally actually see the destruction of July because they didn't. I think they may have like flashed back to it briefly, but it wasn't in like nearly as serious detail as it was in the anime. And I did think that scene was probably one of the high spots of the whole season.
I think
they show 98?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
I have not finished.
They never like mention it. But
so,
right, you guys okay.
So I think that for a remake, it's totally fine to put your cards on the table as far as the complex plot goes, more assuming that people are familiar with the general plot of a show or a manga that are 20 years old at this point, you know what I mean? Like if it's like I think that's totally a valid way to approach it. I am going to start with what I didn't like about this show first. And just for the record, I have only seen a couple of episodes of the original Trigun anime. I've not read the manga, so this is mostly fresh for me, but I do have a frame of reference to compare, and I will not be comparing it. I'm basically going to be taking this on as its own thing, because I think that's really how you should treat it, because it's very much its own beast. I am going to echo, I think my biggest issue with this show is that it is overly serious, and that I don't think its characterization lands very well at times, especially Vash. I think Vash is lacking in some depth in a way that I think is not as apparent in the original, which I know I said I wasn't just going to compare it to, but like just in the context of this show, him and his motivations can be a little wishy-washy. The speech he gives at the very end, I don't think it was a little bit of a wet fart in comparison to the rest of the show. And like I said, it is a little much at times with its tone. Now, that is my biggest complaint and my major complaint with the writing. Outside of that, this is one of the best looking shows I've ever seen in my life. This is fucking peak phenomenal action. And that's the reason that you should be watching it. Is just because it is a visual spectacle, and it is so cool to see all the moving pieces and see how the cinematography works and the way the camera shots are and everything, and the visual design and really everything else about it. It's so fucking cool, dude. Like everything, watching them fight, watching Vash fight, watching Nick fight, and like it's great.
The cross spinning along Nick's neck was so fucking cool. Every time he fought, I'm like, he's just so fucking cool.
It's just what is the coolest. Sick. And even despite my complaints, I think the overall macro narrative works like on its own. It's good. I think the backstory is really compelling. I think that they did a good job of setting all of that up. I was a little skeptical of it at first as we were building into it, but they commit to it and it sticks the landing in an interesting way. And there are lots of really good individual episodes. So I think maybe the journalist, the older guy character was a little underbaked.
De Niro?
Yeah, Roberto De Niro. As much as I did like him and his appearances when he was there, I think he was a little underbaked. And maybe would have just been better if he was if he was Millie the entire time. But hey, that's what season 2 is for. And that's my overall thoughts. I really loved most of this. I just think it was such a cool experience to watch, despite the hangups I had.
Tim, did you watch any of the original anime or manga?
Yeah.
You did? Okay,
I watched all of the original, like, way back, and I read, like, a decent chunk of the manga. But I don't know if I can remember much about either of them at this point. It has been, like,
a long time.
15 years.
Yeah.
God, we're old.
Hey.
Did you have any thoughts?
I said by pretty much what Chris said. The animation fights were like 10 out of 10. Studio Orange can basically do no wrong in that regard. They're like in a league of their own. And I do have issues. I do think that, like, I kind of also agree with the sentiment that they kind of just flew us through and jumped from one point to the next major plot point. At least the original anime, there was a lot of like comedic like gags in between.
Yeah, it's much more episodic
until the last arc, or like towards the end, that they really got serious. But even then, they kind of let us breathe a little bit, and I wish this show kind of did the same. But yeah, I would still highly recommend it. Just like Chris said, just be like the action. Like if episode 1 doesn't sell you on it, then well, you have bad taste. But it's probably not for you. But
let me present my opinion as someone who is a complete virgin to Trigun before this. I think this was my favorite show of the season, bar none. You guys were all complaining about like the really fast pacing. I guess as someone who's like not seen Trigun like at all, I was a-okay with the fast pacing. Like I enjoyed every moment of the really serious tone and like just like constant like action, plot, action. Like it was so fun for me. And like we've been saying, like the animation was just absolutely stellar the entire way through. Every moment was just so fucking cool. With Nick and Vash. All the fights were just so cool. I love baby girl Vash so fucking much. Every single time he was just on screen, I'm like, my baby girl.
Yeah.
I love you so much. And like I enjoyed the show so much that like soon after finishing the season, I went back and like started watching some of the original Trigun, and like I understand all the differences. And I understand the complaints, but like these two are just completely different things. And I think it should 100% be treated as two separate.
That's what I said at the beginning. I completely agree.
To give you an idea of like how different the shows are, like when I told Logan after the first episode, it's like we don't meet like knives in the original until like the last like 10 episodes at best.
Yeah.
Out of like, I don't know, 40, 50 episodes of this. It's like we don't meet him to the very, very end. He's like the climatic final boss that shows up. And then this one, we meet him episode 1. So like the way they're like handling and choosing how to adapt this show is completely
they chose
different.
very intentionally to have it be its own thing and its own take on the show. So, and that's fine. I think it makes it's an interesting way to try to like adapt or remake something, and I think it's perfectly valid to try to take this kind of approach.
I think it's really funny that the manga, the original anime, and now this are like just three completely separate takes on Trigun.
It's pretty unique to have that level of difference.
I feel like other shows have done that.
Yeah, that like
I think like the only other one that does it is like Full Metal Alchemist,
and that it's for the same reason. It's because the original anime adaptations get made before the mangas are done. Like if Soul Eater ever gets remaked, God be willing, then it'll be the same. It'll be like that too, probably. So it'll be interesting to see.
Can't wait for Trigun Brotherhood.
I mean, they could have done that. That's what some people thought. That's what some people thought this was going to be, and it's not. It's not an up and down adaptation of the manga. It's really more of a prequel now that we know that with more context. And maybe season 2 will be a little bit more like that. This is on good. This is confirmed, locked in. Orange will continue to not make Hoseki season 2.
Orange will return.
Or Beastars 3. Is this coming out before Beastars 3? Do we know yet?
I think Beastars 3 is confirmed for like late 2023, early 2024.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know what's coming first yet, but either way.
Probably
I would say Beastars comes first.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
We don't have a date for Trigun yet.
I miss those boys.
I don't even think it's been confirmed that Orange is doing Trigun again.
Well, there's no way anyone else but
they confirmed season 2, so like I assume
it's gonna be
they confirmed season 2, but they didn't confirm the studio.
It'll be Orange.
I'm pretty sure
confident.
Studio Orange.
They're pretty exclusive. Yeah,
season 2.
They're pretty exclusive.
I mean, all I'm saying is it's not confirmed. That's all I'm saying.
Either way,
that it's someone else is very small. But
another thing. Go ahead. Tim.
Go ahead. Another thing that kind of like bothered me was like them going back and forth between like the past and present. Like I know
there's
some
a lot
shows
of
do that.
flashbacks.
There's a reason why they do that, but this show didn't need to do that.
I would say maybe close to a third of the runtime of the show takes place in the past, if not more. It's a little much.
Yeah, I think they could have handled that a little bit better.
I don't know. At the same time, some of those are the best scenes in the whole show, so it's hard to do. My other thing I was gonna say is that even though she is quite different than she is in the original, I really like Meryl in this show. I think
I love.
She's a great character. She's a little different. She's not quite as jaded and frustrated yet in the way she is in the older one.
Watching Trigun, the original Trigun, I'm like, wow, she's so jaded.
Yeah, she's seen some shit, but I really like this version of Meryl.
I wonder if she's gonna be jaded in season 2.
I'm sure she will. I think that they're gonna make her more like the original. Either way, great show. Orange continues to hit just the best in the industry.
Because technically she's a newbie in this one.
Exactly. And now she's on the insurance company. Exciting stuff. Very excited to see what they'll do with season 2.
So we all recommend this show?
I mean, this is probably one of the best. Cool. All right, moving on to the sequel zone. We're going into sequels. And
Already.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's shorter season, shorter episode. We like it like that sometimes. Starting with a pretty big one, Tokyo Revengers Season 2, the Christmas Showdown arc.
Ignoring the fact that Chris and I just finished the show like hours before.
I'm trying to think about how I feel about this. This was fine. I don't think I liked it as much as I liked Season 1. I don't think the arc was as compelling. It's kind of built on a lot of characters that get introduced in this season. And a lot of it kind of takes place in one room, which is weird. They take a really long...
I thought half the show was going to be that one room.
It was like 4 episodes.
It was 4 episodes, yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, at the end of the day, how consequential was any of that? And the answer is not very much, really. Like, it matters in the sense them fighting the big guy. Like, it's good for the family that they sorted out their family problems. And there wasn't much of a fight at the end of the day between him and Mikey. He just kind of knocked his shit out. That being said, despite everything, I'm still interested in this plot enough to continue watching it. I'm still curious as to what's going on. There are lots of good moments. There's lots of characters that I like. And it's always nice to see them get more screen time. I like Shifuyu and I like Mitsuya a lot, and they got a lot more screen time in this season, so that's nice. I don't know how Juan feels about this one.
Yeah, the pacing in this show is just awful.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like, some episodes felt like 5 minutes, and then some felt like a double wide episode. I'm like, oh my god, the episode's still going?
They spend a lot of time standing around talking to each other in some episodes.
But, like, it does just enough to, like, keep me wanting to watch. Like, I'm still waiting for the Takemichi training arc so you can actually fight.
Yeah, he is. We're still at the end of the season, and he is still incompetent, for the record.
Yeah.
I like this season for the fact that I can kind of see why people like Takemichi, or why they think he's more than just a whiny baby.
Yeah, he did have proactive moves in this, and he made a difference, and that is important.
Like, I can see why Mikey likes him, and everyone else looks up to him, because he actually kind of stood his ground and became like a decent person. Unlike Season 1, where I felt like all he did was cry and get beat up. This one, he kind of took more of a aggressive stance, and I can kind of see why everyone in the show kind of likes him now.
Did you like this or Season 1 more?
I kind of want to say this season.
Really?
Granted, my Season 1 memory is a little bit mushy, but I feel like Season 1 was kind of like a blur. They kind of just threw a bunch of cast together. I couldn't follow it as easily.
Yeah, there are a lot of characters.
More manageable.
I don't know. Season 1 had that mid-season climax with the Hina's death. So that's what really hooks me on the show.
The time travel elements tend to be the more interesting parts about it. I will admit. The end of this one was really interesting.
Yeah, the finale for this one was really WTF. And then I also hear from the threads after Season 3 got announced that this is the quote unquote best arc of the show.
Upcoming.
Yeah.
That's good. That's exciting. I'm still gonna keep watching it for the record. It's definitely one of the worst shows that I'm continuing to watch, but my standard for continuing to watch long running shows is pretty high, so don't take that as a negative. I am just compelled enough to keep going on.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend people to pick it up now.
Unless you're into you're a Fujoshi and you're into pretty boys and you like reading fan fiction about them kissing, in which case eat this shit up. It's for you.
Is this pretty boy show?
Oh, they're
not pretty.
This is one of the no, they are. A lot of them are. I would say this is one of the biggest Fujo shows out there right now. It's up there. I mean, it makes sense, especially with some of the scenes in this. There are some very tender moments between the homies.
It's fine for it to be a Fuji show, but I wouldn't call them pretty.
I think some of them are.
Yeah,
they don't give the
to each their own
vibes. They have a style.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we can move on. Juan, tell us about my.
Hold on. I didn't get the. I dropped.
Oh, I forgot you.
Yeah,
you dropped.
Okay,
you ended up
Logan
watching
dropped
some, but he ended up watching most of it with us last night.
I didn't. I wasn't really paying that
You were
close
there.
attention. I did notice that there was, in fact, like 17 hours in that one church room. But the reason I dropped Tokyo Revengers, part of it was mercenary. I just figured it would be easier for Chris and Juan to watch the show without me. But
Mercenary,
also,
not Mercy.
No,
said-
like a
you said
mercenary.
mercenary.
Yes, yeah, I said mercenary on purpose. It was like a mercenary decision. I made it not because.
Sure. Okay. Whenever I hear mercenary, I think of like contract killer.
Yes, I understand that.
He
And anyway,
contract killed this anime.
yeah, I contract killed this anime. No, I was kind of losing it through the season because, like they said, they introduced like about 100 new characters, and then all of them are important, and some of them I think are just kind of going away, is what it felt like from the bits of episodes that I watched. And what it started to really feel like, and I only like just processed what this was like now, and now I have to say it. It was starting to feel like Demon Slayer without the Sakuga. And you really don't want to be Demon Slayer without the Sakuga.
Yeah.
What? That's fair.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of dreading this next season of Demon Slayer. I don't think it's going to be good.
I've heard the Swordsmith Village arc is really good.
Okay.
That's what
I've heard lots of good things about Demon Slayer that didn't really pan out.
But there's always something, there's always gas.
Oh, no. There's always like one crazy ufotable scene, but it's just, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know. Last season was like the entire season was that one crazy scene.
Exactly. That was pretty entertaining. But yeah, no, this one really is riding on, you have to like the characters and you have to like their interactions because that's most of it. And the fight animation's pretty mediocre most of the time.
I'm gonna just punch each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like some of the charters, which is why it's
Takemichi fought back.
Maybe chapter 200 he'll start getting better. Anyway, we've spent too long on this. Tell us about My Hero, Juan.
Yeah, My Hero Academia. I finally watched it. Holy shit! Like, it's really funny. Like, I just spent one day watching like 16 episodes out of the 24, and then I watched the rest of it like the next day. Whoever spread the rumor of the production of season 6 sucking is a liar. Like, I feel like it actually.
Who said that?
Twitter. I saw like a lot of people on Twitter say like, "Oh man, the season 6 production was bad."
Your mistake was listening to My Hero fans about really anything.
Like, I mean, like I remember seeing like some examples of like like bad frames, but that's exactly what they were, frames. Like they were smear frames. Of course, they look that way intentionally for like the flow of the action.
Exactly.
Like and like near the end too. Like I think it was like episode like 20 or something. Like that one scene of like Deku versus Lady Nagant. Like that fight scene was fucking incredible. Holy shit! Like they made it like better than the original manga. Tim, you're anime only, right? What did you think about the season?
I really liked it. The show is a lot darker. There's a lot more. The stakes are higher. A lot of controversy going on. I'm all for it.
What did you think about the Vigilante arc?
Which one specifically? What part is that?
Like the last 6 episodes of.
Him being the vigilante. Yeah, yes. I loved it.
Yeah,
that kid was a badass for once. Because I feel like for once.
Are you excited to hear that is the last of that? Yeah, like.
I'm a little bit sad because I kind of like the idea of him being like going all Dark Knight on everybody.
I know, right? That would have been really fucking cool, right?
And his fight with what's her face that you mentioned earlier was super cool.
Yeah, Lady Nagant. Like, I really hope that they make like a movie like within that time frame of time where like of Deku being a vigilante. Like the vigilante idea, really fucking cool. Man, I really wish that was its own season. But no, like that's literally how it was in the manga. Like, it's just, like, 20 chapters of Deku being a vigilante, and, like, that's it. He's back to school again. As a manga reader, this is the last season of it being good.
That's what I hear. I heard it gets downhill from here, based on the comments and threads, but I'm really sad, because this show Okay, the show started out really interesting and good. Like I actually felt like despair and loss at watching the heroes. Like I felt like they could lose for once because every other hero I was like, oh, nothing, obviously going to like clean things up. And this one was like, oh, it's kind of messy, it's getting kind of gritty. I'm kind of digging this. And then Deku goes all vigilante, and then I felt like they kind of hit like a giant, like we said, button, and they kind of brought him back and started the school thing again, and it felt like the whole season, more or less, we said, minus the whole state of the society. But
yeah, I just wish that we spent way more on that. Like just seeing the world post-war arc, it would have been so cool. Like as a manga reader, watch the premiere of season 7. That fight is gonna go fucking bonkers. After that, you can drop it.
Wow. I feel like at that point, if you watch 7 seasons, you might as well stick it out.
Yeah, at this point we're committed. But
it really pains me that it's labeled as season 7 and not final season, because the manga is literally finishing right now. Like I think we got like maybe like 20 chapters more. Pops.
No show does final season except for Attack on Titan, and Attack on Titan cannot get it right because they've done final season like 6 times now.
Snafu, they labeled
some shows do, but
Fruits
whatever.
Basket labeled it as final season.
But like almost every other show does not do final season like that.
It'll be okay. Either way,
yeah.
So good season.
You've heard my recommendation. Good season. Watch the premiere of season 7, and you can drop it after that.
It's crazy. It took My Hero 6 seasons to be good, and then it immediately became not good.
Yeah.
All right.
Next up.
Moving on. Logan, tell us about how Fumetsu season 2 was.
So Fumetsu no Inate season 2, I've been a big shill of both this manga and this anime for a while now. It's getting a decent adaptation. I actually think that this kind of the siege arc kind of improves on the pacing of the siege in the manga. I like that this represents a neat little turn for the series. But if you haven't seen season 1, I really highly recommend it. I don't want to spend too long on this, but
I think that this show is really special because this manga is really special. I can tell that this is a decent, but maybe a little middling adaptation of an extremely good manga, and I do plan to go back and read it when things are said and done. Just because, and like Logan said, I think this season does a better job. This one doesn't have nearly as many spotty animation moments as season 1 did, which is nice. Like the base level is a lot better, especially as it goes on. And what that allows the show to do is for the narrative to shine and the writing to shine, and it's so well done. It's it's very unique, and the way in which like the stakes of the story and what the story ends up being about shifts very dramatically as the time passes, and we explore different facets and nuances of what it means, and like how Fushi's growing and how he's getting more powerful and how these powers matter. And it plays with a lot of interesting ideas about like life and death and time and all that. And it's just, the characters are really good. They're really compelling, and like Bond was an incredible character to watch, and we really get, because it was 20 episodes, we get his whole arc, and it was just, it was neat. It was neat to watch.
It was a good arc.
I thought the season started maybe a little slower, and I thought I wasn't going to be as into it as season 1, but I think that this was better overall. So
yeah, I personally think that first half of the show was really slow. Like Bond had my entire attention. Like if Bond wasn't in it, I wasn't really caring. And then like when the war arc started, it really started drag on a little bit. Well, spoilers. As soon as March came back, I was like, oh my god, I'm 100% invested now.
Yeah.
Holy shit, people can come back.
It was just such a crazy late game thing to introduce.
I mean, we kind of knew that already, didn't we?
No, well, they explicitly said
there was hints of it earlier. Earlier
because he brought that
we
one.
We knew that there was
back.
a chance. We knew that there was a chance it was going to happen, but
we didn't know.
I thought it was
know.
basically confirmed. Which is
I think what happened is that we watched the episode in which that happened, and then took a huge break, and so we had all forgotten. But that's the point.
Yeah. Like the whole reason why Bond didn't want to tell him was because he didn't want him to like
Either
try
way,
to bring his friends back and stuff.
let's get some
But-
other final takes on this because I want to
Yeah.
wrap up soon.
I think the ending of this arc was absolutely worth it. Like,
Yeah.
Even though it was like a little bit slow at first, it was absolutely worth it. Like, I'm really excited for the next arc.
Yeah, the end of this one was insane. I cannot believe how much things shift and change just in the way that it's just like I said. This show does a really good job of shifting dramatically and making it about something new. So,
Which is good because
Yeah.
season 1 wasn't like that very much.
Mhm.
So I did like the season more than season 1, and I did hear a few complaints about how people like season 1 more, and I think it's just because of the huge like tonal shift of between the two seasons. Like season 1 was kind of like, in my opinion, kind of like, I wouldn't say boring, but it was very predictable because it was
it
all
is a
like
little you know people
guy
are gonna
meets
die.
person. You get invested in them and they die emotional death.
I mean,
and
it
it's just
hurts.
supposed to
It hurt
repeat, like,
every
3
time.
times. It did, but
Nothing
like
has topped the Gugu arc for me.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah,
I kind of felt the
Gugu's
same
my
way with
boy.
Silent Voice, where you kind of like it's coming. You know the like purposely trying to hit all the emotional beats,
It's the
but
same
like
author.
you feel
Yeah.
something, but it didn't feel me. This one was far more interesting to me. It was kind of clunky with the writing around, but I think it was far more interesting with with everything Chris says about him, Fushi growing as a character and learning his powers and developing and becoming him.
Yeah.
And then like I said, there was a couple of clunky moments with like what's her name, the bird chick was like a 2-episode thing, and then they kind of like jumped around a lot.
Bird chick.
And
Tonari.
Oh, Tonari.
and Ari, yeah, like she was there for like 2 episodes for like, and then she was gone. And
Yeah.
it was like, okay, that was kind of random. It did jump around a lot, and the whole melting the iron pod. Narratively, it had flaws, but I'm totally okay with it because it was just a far more compelling, interesting story with Bond.
This is
and
really
Fushi.
unique. I think people should check this one out. If not read the manga, which is probably better overall, then this is a perfectly acceptable way to
Yes.
consume it. Definitely don't miss this. It's pretty special. It's just you don't see. It's just not just within anime, but in general, just a very unique narrative. All right, keep this very brief. Tell us about Dungeon,
Danmachi
whatever.
season 4.
Yeah, Danmachi.
Yes. I don't think any of you guys have seen.
Nope,
any
never
of
seen
it,
a single
so
episode
I
in
will
my
keep it
life.
short.
Yeah.
Generally, I think this is the best the series has been, which I'm never saying much. But one thing that I noticed when watching the show that I realized a lot of shows like don't do is that when people go on like these fantasy shows and stuff, they go into dungeons and they like, you don't really feel the stakes when you go down dungeons, and the show really emphasize like the despair and uncertainty of like going to a dungeon, being like stuck there, having to crawl and fight your way back. Like a lot of shows, you just go in, they beat the boss, and they just magically teleport out. But no one like talks about, oh, what if you like had a mistake and you gotta like just stuck there and you have monsters around you and you're trying to come escape. I really felt like the despair and uncertainty, and that's I think I haven't really felt in many other animes, so I can get impressed for that. He also did a really great job, great by Danmachi standard, probably like good for like overall in developing their characters. They really focus on Ryu, which was like the elf character, which you guys don't care about or know about, and they kind of made her a well-rounded, proper character throughout. Like it took them like 12 episodes. They kind of like slowly give glimpse, and at the end of it, you kind of like could see her grow and develop a relationship with the main character, which was really nice. But yeah, that's all I would say for that one.
Okay, cool. And last, definitely not least, Logan,
Absolutely.
talk to us about Iruma.
All right, Marimashita Iruma-kun season 3. I think that this is the season thus far that has like made the best use of its like very big good cast. Like we got a lot of looks into the backstories and lives of the rest of the Misfit class. We got some new teachers and some expansions on some old teachers that I think all went really well. And the Harvest arc was really fun. I don't think this stacks up to season 2, just because I don't know if anything is going to stack up to Iruma's evil era. But this was really good, a really good continuation of the series. If you don't know about Mairimashita Iruma-kun, you really need to learn yourself. Like, watch season 1; it's really good.
Yeah, the secret hidden gem of the entire anime industry. I think I would literally recommend this to everyone. It is one of my favorite recurring shows, and every single time there's more Iruma, it is a delight for me. There's a lot to love in this season. I would say I agree. I think it's the weakest so far, just because I don't think this arc is quite as compelling as some of the other ones previously. But at this, and also just like you're missing, you get to see lots of characters interact that don't always interact, which is fun. But the main cast is split up for basically the whole season, which is kind of disappointing. And also if you're cheering on the different romances between Iruma and Amelie or whatever, it's like, they never interact or whatever for the whole season because they're stuck in a tournament. But at the same time, it's just very fun all the way through, and there's a lot of really neat world building and neat character interactions, and the cast just rules, and it's great to see them expanded out. And it's also interesting to see where the plot is going in general. Just at the end of the day, it's more Iruma, and Iruma is amazing. So there you go.
Top 3.
Someday I'll watch it.
Someday. All right, and that's it. That's spring anime. That is how we felt about all these different shows. I think we're gonna go through like Tim said, we're all gonna pick our top 3. So Juan, hit us up. What you got?
For me, number 1 easily Trigun Stampede, and then like a couple steps below that, I would say Buddy Daddies, and then a couple more steps below that, I would say Blue Lock.
All right, cool. Are we counting sequels that finished? We are,
yeah,
right?
I'd say so.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we will.
Then,
there's no other time to do it.
Then I'll go ahead and say number 1, Buddy Daddies, just because I'm the resident enjoyer for that one, I guess. And then very close behind it, Trigun Stampede. After that, and then the reason I asked this is because I think Fumetsu season 2 slots in at number 3. I really enjoyed this season.
Fumetsu would be like my number 4.
I like, it was great. And maybe that's a little bit of recency bias, but I'll accept that.
So for me, number 1 is probably coming in at Trigun Stampede. For all for all I talked bad about it, I do really love it. Number 2 is, I think I'm going to give it to Fumetsu season 2. And then number 3, man, I really just have to give it to Iruma season 3. I want to give it to something like Mou Ippon, but I just can't. Iruma season 3 was really good.
I mean, you didn't watch that much else, so
that is also true.
Mou Ippon might edge 4 for me, but yeah, okay. My top 3. This is realistically number 3, but I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna cut number 1 instead. I'm gonna give the one to Kage, even though it should be number 3.
Okay.
Wait, what show?
Eminence and Shadow.
Oh, sure.
Number 2, I'm gonna give to Onimai, and then number 3, I'll give the Trigun.
All right,
wow.
Nice.
All right,
a good variety between those. So
I mean, Trigun is in all of our top
of course. Everyone should watch it. All right. That about does it for our reactions to winter. Maybe a little weaker, a little slower, but at least we had some stuff to talk about. Tune in next time. We will have, in a couple of weeks, our first reactions to all the spring shows, as those are starting to roll out.
Oh, the mid-season?
The mid-season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't wait to get started on that.
Yeah. We will get there. And
it's rough.
It's rough. There's a lot of fucking TV coming out.
There's a lot. God, I think this might be like our first 3-hour episode.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be long.
So brace yourselves.
I'm in the 30s at this point. It's a lot of shows.
30 shows seen?
Yes.
Jesus.
It's a lot.
I'm scared.
I was watching anime right before
digits,
this recording just to
We're
catch up.
all in double digits, except for Logan. Maybe he might keep.
I think even 8. He is.
I'm in double digits.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
There's just so much. All right. That's it. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Later.